Again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the webinar about the Research Master's Program in Public Administration and Organizational Science. We will be providing you with all kinds of information about our program to help you to select the program that fits your needs and desires. We're going to tell you about the setup of the program. We're going to provide you with the inside perspective, the student perspective. We're going to give you some ideas about what the career perspective can be, and we'll tell you a little bit about the admission. So we'll be happy to provide you all this kind of information. The crew for today is on camera. You will find myself and Eline Westbeek. I'm Albert Meyer. I'm a professor of public innovation at the Utrecht University School of Governance. I'm the central coordinator of the Research Master's Program on Public Administration and Organizational Science, and I teach one of the courses, and that is the course on Philosophy of Science. Eline, could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, of course. So my name is Eline Westbeek. I'm 23 years old, and I'm a second-year research master student at the moment. I've done the Bachelor in Public Administration and Organizational Science at Utrecht University, and I've lived in Utrecht for almost 6 years now. So that's about me so far.
Okay, thank you, Eline. And in addition to the two of us, there's two other colleagues involved in this webinar. You won't see them but they're very ready to answer all the questions you have on chat. They are Renee Frederiks, who's working at the administration department, and she plays a key role in the registration process for our program. So she can answer all kinds of questions that are related to your application and registration. And the second one is Mickey Betoon. He's also a second-year student in our program. He will be very happy to answer all your questions on chat, and he can provide you with an inside perspective from the student perspective. So the idea is that here on this webinar, we will give you the information, but at the same time, you can give us your questions. You can use the chat function that you will see on your screen. You can pose your questions, and Mickey and Renee will be very happy to answer those questions right away. Some of the questions may also be answered by us at the end of the session. At the end of this session, there will be a Q&A part where we will pick up on some of the questions that you've asked before, and that we think could be relevant to provide a richer answer. So please ask your questions on chat. Please listen to our conversation and engage with us, and we hope we can provide all the information you need. So let me start with the question: why would you want to study public administration and organizational science at Utrecht University? Well, a first reason is that Utrecht University is one of the leading universities in Europe. And in terms of public administration, it's one of the leading universities in the world. We're ranked among the top 10 of the public administration programs in the world. And in the Shanghai ranking of universities, we're ranked at the 49th position. And that means we're one of the top universities on the European continent. So it's a leading university, both in general and specifically in public administration, which means that you will be working with some of the top scholars in the field in public administration, top scholars in network management, in informatization in the public sector, in accountability. So it's really one of the leading universities, and the Utrecht University School of Governance is one of the leading schools. A second reason is that we have a rich international program. We have a mixed student population of international students and Dutch students, but we also have professors from different countries, and we will also be taking you to different places. Right at the start, there's an international research visit, and we try to connect to international debates and international cases. So it's a program that is set in the Netherlands, but it's very well connected to all kinds of developments around the world. So that's the second reason. Maybe Eline, could you expand a little bit on the two other reasons that we can provide for doing our program in Utrecht?
Yeah, sure. So what I really like about this Research Master program is that you get to work with several researchers who are also your teachers throughout the masters. So you don't only get in touch with your fellow students, but also with your teachers, with any kind of professors or of any kind of topic you're interested in. Get a chance, for example, to do a tutorial. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later,
Yes.
where you work one-on-one with a scholar in the field. So the community is really nice, I think. And moreover, Utrecht is a great city to live in, especially for students. There are all kinds of activities during the weeks, during the weekends. Things are organized for international students, but also for Dutch students. It has a lot of nice cafes and bars, all kinds of places. So it's really recommended.
Okay, so those are, we think, 4 strong reasons why you would want to study in Utrecht. But let us zoom in now on why you want to study public administration and organizational science, and more specifically do a research master program in public administration and organizational science. Well, one key reason is that we really focus on public problems. So we focus on problems that matter. We focus on problems related to sustainability, to security, to integration in society, to international relations, to relations between citizens, to democracy. So we focus on problems that really matter. Maybe Eline, could you expand a little bit on what you want to do in your thesis? What kind of problem you would like to tackle there?
Yeah, sure. So in my thesis, I want to zoom into actually behavioral economic side. So how big financial organizations influence consumers, which is actually kind of it's kind of at the crossroads of economics, of psychology, and of public administration. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, so that's a good example. Last year, I also had a student work on predictive policing, to mention another example, how the police can use different technologies to be more effective. And we approach it not only from an instrumental side, but also from a more critical side. What questions can we raise related to the use of this technology in the public sector? So we tackle the problems that you read about in a newspaper and that you see on social media every day, and that are related to politics and society. A second element of our program is that it's really small-scale, inspiring education. Eline already told you a little bit about this, but we have small groups. Usually we have about between 15 and 20 students, which means that there's a lot of interaction, that the professors know all the individual students. You're not an anonymous person. You are somebody that's known to the professors. In our educational settings, we really have intense conversations. And apart from that, we have more specialized forms such as the thesis, but also the tutorial where you work on one-on-one with the professors. So the small scale is really, I think, an important point. Third element is that we focus both on not only on developing academic, but also on practical capabilities. We also we look at research methods and teach you how to do research, but also things like collaboration. Maybe you can tell our audience a little bit about the applied research track and how you learn to collaborate with other students for an external organization.
For one course, we're doing it's called applied research track, and then with 2 fellow students, you go into an organization and actually carry out the research they are interested in, and so you do use your academic skills, so to say. So you're doing profound research and apply methods. On the other hand, you really zoom into a question that's relevant for an organization, and often they do something with the results after. So that's a great opportunity to also get in touch with the more applied side of research.
Yeah, and a fourth element, but that's already touched upon by Eline, is that we work in strong relation with practice and with actual cases. So we're strong on theory, but also strong on applying the theory. We talk about, okay, what can the police do when they work with these new technologies? What can we do with the behavioral approaches when we want to improve services to citizens? How can organizations work in networks to tackle sustainability problems? So we use strong theories, but also actual cases. And a final element, which I think for you may also be quite important, is that we have a really strong position in the labor market. We see that all our students find good jobs really quickly after they've graduated, and really the jobs they want. It's not like they have to go for any job offer. Students that want to pursue a career in academia as a PhD student can easily find a job, but also students that want to work in the public sector or as a consultant can easily find a good job. And I'll provide you with some examples of some of our alumni to indicate what kind of jobs they are. So those are the broad outlines. Let me go a little bit further now and look at the actual outline of the program, the courses that you will be taking if you choose this program. And there's actually 4 types of courses. There's substantive courses that focus on theories of public administration, organizational science. There's methodology courses that focus on the different type of methods you need to do research. There's tutorials and electives. Tutorials and electives give you the opportunity to specialize, to choose things that you are really interested in. Tutorials, you work one-on-one. Electives, you can do them at in different faculties. You can do a summer school. Maybe Eline, can you give you some examples of things that you've been doing, or maybe your fellow students have been doing in terms of tutorials and electives and summer schools?
Yeah, actually, there's a broad range of things you can do. So a lot of people choose to do an elective during the year at Utrecht University or another partner university. Also, some of my other my fellow students and myself also follow the summer school. So I've been to Aarhus University in Denmark to follow a 2-week summer school there on organizational misbehavior. So actually, the program leaves a lot of room to really focus on the topics you're interested in by following these electives or summer schools.
Yeah. And the final element, the final type of course is doing research. We certainly find it very important that you actually go out there and do research. And there's 2 research tracks, one at the end of the first year and one in the second year. At the end of the first year, you will be doing an applied research track, which means that in a group of 4 students, you will be working on an assignment for an organization in the real world. So it's a real assignment, something that the organization really wants to know about. And a second part is the thesis track that's in the second year, where you will be working on your individual thesis. Eline, you already told the audience a little bit about the thesis that you will be working on. Could you tell them also a little bit about the applied research project that you've been working on?
Yeah, that was actually what I mentioned before. So what we did was a research project for Dutch organization that focuses mainly on execution of tasks and on innovation in the Dutch context. And what we did, we investigated the meaning of social labs, which is a policy instrument, and what it could mean for that organization. We had several interviews, we did some focus groups, and we had a final presentation, and our end product was not this academic paper style, but it actually was kind of a booklet, which was handed out to a lot of members of the organization and still used every day.
Yeah. So I think that's a very good example of how we want to make impact with our education. So education is firstly for you to learn skills, to learn about theory, but we think, and that's the second point, that it's also very important that you learn to apply that. And when you learn to apply that in a real life setting, you often learn most from the project. So that's why the applied research track is also a very important element. Here you'll see an overview of these of the program with all the courses that were just mentioned on the previous slide. You will see that that there's a mix of substantive and methodological courses. So it's not like first doing all the methodological courses and then the substantive courses or vice versa. No, they run as parallel tracks. So for example, core themes, those are the substantive courses. You will have one in the first semester or 2 in the first semester of the first year and 1 in the first semester of the second year. The method courses start right from the start and run through the whole program. The research tracks, as I indicated, are at the end of the first year and at the end of the second year, and there's room for electives throughout the program. So in that sense, we provide a very rich program, but at the same time, and we think that's really important, with enough room for you to specialize in the topics that you're interested in. So over the previous years, I've seen students that said, okay, I'm really interested in urban governance, and they did a summer school on urban studies. They did a tutorial with somebody who knew a lot about urban governance, and they wrote a thesis on urban governance. So that's a way where you can specialize in a topic, but it can also be migration. It can also be sustainability. So in that sense, you can focus on the topics that you care about, and you can use the room that you have in terms of the electives and tutorials to focus on this specific topic. So that is sort of the structural part of our program, the courses, the outline of the program. But what is at least what is certainly as important as the structure is the culture that we have. And we would like to say a couple of things about that. First is that we want to work at a very high level. As I said before, our students are really in demand, and that's because we have a really strong program. So that means we expect a lot from our students, but it also means we offer a lot. So the excellence really is a co-product, emerges from co-production between students and professors. So in these interactive sessions where the students are really well prepared, we manage to get really high quality. Maybe Eline, that would also interesting for me to hear. Can you tell us something about the discussions that we had in our course on philosophy of science?
Yeah, of course. I really enjoyed those discussions. They went really in depth about our philosophical positions and also dilemmas that play a role in doing research. So I remember, for example, we had one session on ethics where we had this Socratic dialogue you moderated, or we talked about Popper, about falsification, which is kind of a concept we all know, but I thought it was really interesting to really dive into it and explore what it actually means if we would apply that to social research, if we want to.
So it's really, and actually for us as professors, that's also probably the most interesting part of this program. It's not about us telling the students what it's all about. It's really about having these interactions, and in these interactions, we all learn. So that's a key element of the program. Secondly, there's the tutorials and electives. There's a lot of freedom. I already gave you some examples. And the third one is the closed group, the network. Eline already told you a little bit about how we work together, how we know the students very well, how the professors are all very accessible. But what you see here on the slide is a picture of the research trip that we have each year at the start of the year. The second year students organize a research visit for both the second and the first year students. So if you start this program, the first thing you will do is go abroad for a week to learn all kinds of things about public administration, and to have all kinds of interesting discussions. Eline, can you tell us a little bit about the 2 research visits that you've been on?
Yeah, when I just started the program, we went to Valencia, and last year we went to Berlin. And it existed of all kinds of activities. So one part was that we visited the university. So in Berlin was Hurley School of Governance, where we got a couple of lectures from scholars there, and we also went to an NGO. We had a city walk, went to museums, and ended up in a karaoke bar one night. So I think it's a very diverse program in which you of course have interesting content-focused activities. It's also a great chance to meet your fellow students.
Yeah, because we feel that having a strong culture and strong connections between the students really helps them to do well in the program. And we see that why this closed group network helps the students to get more out of the program and to do better on the courses. So that's why we think such a thing as a research visit is really important. Eline, maybe you can tell us something about questions people can ask to you.
Yeah. So if you have any kinds of questions, both about the program and how I experienced that, or what choices I've made for my other electives, but also more on experience about the city, for example, and how I experienced Utrecht, you're all welcome to ask as many questions as you want, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah. Okay, then we'll go to probably a key element in this talk, the career perspectives. I already indicated that the career perspectives are very good. We see that our students find good jobs very quickly after they've graduated. I recently was informed by a Canadian student who did our research master's program because she wanted to make a career switch, and she said it helped her really well to make the switch. She got to do the job that she actually wanted to do, and she got her income was quite a bit higher than it was before she started the program. So she was very happy. But also all the other students here have been very successful in finding good jobs. We actually see our students ending up in three types of positions. About 30 to 40% of our students pursues a career at academia, university job. You'll see Maarten Hillebrand here on top, who graduated with me and who continued to do a PhD at the University of Amsterdam, and then worked as a postdoc in Bielefeld, and now works as a postdoc in Helsinki. Nina van Loon did her PhD at Utrecht University. She then worked as a postdoc at Aarhus in Denmark for a while, and now works for the city of Rotterdam. Sjors Overman did his PhD in Nijmegen University in the Netherlands, and now he works as a colleague at Utrecht University as an assistant professor. So we see that many people in academia have done the research master's programs. If you want to pursue a career at academia, it's a great program, but it is also a great program to work at a government. You will see Evert Scott on the right-hand side, who works as a policy analyst at the Department of Health. So he focuses on healthcare policies. On the left-hand side, you'll see Jiske Gietema, who works as a policy analyst at the Department of Education. And in the middle is Fabrice Leijten, who is a consultant at our tax department. So you see that governments are also interested in our students. They see that our students have a very good training in public administration, organizational science, and are very good at working with knowledge from different domains. Third career track is consultancy. On top, you'll see Yuri Kabalt, who works at Kessels and Smith now, which is quite an innovative consultancy company working more on learning trajectories for public and private organizations. Then at the bottom on the left-hand side is Liedewij Verbaas, who works as a consultant at it's called SEEN, Concepts, Enterprise Architecture, Nature, which is focusing more on information problems in organizations. And on the right-hand side, the bottom is Dirk Schmidt, and he works at Sogeti. So he also works at an organization that's both doing organizational advice, but also information advice. And this year, some of our alumni ended up at AEF, which is a very, very good consultancy company in the Netherlands. International students also end up at interesting international companies. So whatever of these three career perspectives you're interested in, an academic career, working as a civil servant, or working as a consultant, this program provides a very good preparation. Now we'll get to the admission procedure. You'll find most of the information on that on our website. I would like to provide you a little bit of information now. In general, we expect people to have a bachelor in public administration or an equivalent bachelor. What I find really important to tell you now is that if you have any questions about whether you qualify for the program, do not hesitate to contact me. Send me an email, tell me about your background, and I will tell you whether you qualify or whether you would need to do some extra things. Sometimes we ask people, we admit people to the program, but we ask them to prepare well by reading some key books in public administration and organizational science. So we try to do this in a very individualized way, If you do not qualify, I will also honestly tell you and think that you might be better for you to do another program. But we want to provide you with an individual advice. So please contact me if you have any questions about your background, and I will be very happy to provide you with the information. In the end, you will have to follow the formal procedure, which means you have to present a letter of motivation. You will have to present a research proposal. We've had some questions about that as well. It should not be a very extensive proposal. Please submit only a 3-4 page proposal, because we want to know that you are able to formulate relevant questions in our field, and that you're able to think about a theoretical frame and a method for answering these questions. But that's really all we want to know. So you don't have to write 10, 15 pages. 4 pages is fine, and it helps us to have a better intake interview. So after you've submitted your information onto the program, into the website, you will be, if you qualify, will be invited for an interview. At the same time, if you do not hear from us, if it takes very long, again, do not hesitate to send me an email, to contact us, and we'll look at it, because we really want good students not to be to find bureaucratic procedures. We want to help you go through the admission process. So do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. The admission, these are the dates for the admission. So if you're an EU student, you should, and if you're a non-EU student, you should both apply before April 1st, 2020. So please look at the deadline. Make sure that you send in your information in time so that we can process it, so that we can invite you for an interview. At the same time, you do not have to wait till April 1st. If you're ready to apply now, you can upload your information. We will invite you for an interview. If you're abroad, that will probably be a Skype interview, and we will admit you if you qualify for the program. So we have a rolling admission, which means that we will invite you shortly after you've submitted your information. So this is actually the information we would like to provide to you. Have we been missing anything, Eline? Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience?
Not for now. I'm really curious about the questions the audience might have. You can still leave them in the chat, and we'll answer them. One question I already saw popping up from Kim is the question, how much reading is involved? I think I'll answer that. For a lot of courses, you just have to do your reading like for the meetings and for the seminars. Because in the seminars because we're not that many, we often have in-depth discussions, and it's nice if everyone can contribute. Also, sometimes you work in groups and you prepare a presentation beforehand, for example. I wouldn't say the reading is extremely much. It's just, I guess, the good amount of reading that's needed for a nice in-depth session.
Yeah, you will see, especially in the first 2 courses, when you start the program, they are quite demanding in terms of reading. So you have to read a lot, but later on through the program, the reading load will decline a little bit. But overall, the program is sort of designed for 40 hours of work a week. So which means that that's what we expect you to do. Sometimes it will peak when you have to work a little bit more. Sometimes it will be a little bit easier, but that's usually how the reading load is divided.
Yeah. Another question, or actually 2 other questions, are about the thesis and how that process goes. Maybe you can.
That's a good question. We start quite early with the thesis process, actually already at the end of the first year, because we want you to start thinking about the topic that you really want to investigate and that you are really interested at quite an early stage. So at the end of the first year, I ask from the students to send me a 1-pager with a research question, some ideas about the theoretical framework and the methods, and then we can start exploring who would be a suitable supervisor, how they could approach the topic, how you can approach the topic, what would be good next steps to take. So then the thinking process really starts going. The student starts thinking about the topic, about the methods, about how they want to do it. Then at the end, in the second semester, the first semester of the second year, so that means at the end of the third semester, you could say, there's a second meeting where the students really have to provide an in-depth proposal. And then they have to make sure that they found a supervisor. And then the process really starts full time in the second semester of the second year. And then for a period of 5 months, students will be working full time on their thesis. They will have a supervisor from, and that's important to say, we do this program at Utrecht University, but also in collaboration with the Free University in Amsterdam, the Erasmus University in Rotterdam, and Tilburg University. So the courses are being taught at these 4 universities. Most of the courses are in Utrecht, but we also have courses at the other universities. And you can find a supervisor at Utrecht University, but also at some of the other universities. So each year we have quite a few students who have supervised in Rotterdam, in Tilburg, or in Amsterdam. So you will be working with them. You do the research, and then at the end of the second semester, you defend your thesis. It's a public defense. And if you pass the defense, then you can graduate from our program.
We have another question from Elise about the proposal you have to hand in for the admission, which says, is it allowed to write the research proposal for admissions about a topic that I am currently already doing research on?
Yes, that's a very good question, Elisa. Thank you very much for that question. Yes, that's perfectly fine. We see that quite often, actually, that people write a proposal that's either the result of their bachelor thesis or that follows up on their bachelor thesis. And it makes a lot of sense because that's a topic that you know quite a bit about, both in terms of theory and in terms of the methods. So that's a very good basis for a research proposal. And as I said, we really use that research proposal to assess whether you have a good idea of what our program is about, because sometimes we see proposals of people that may be very interesting, but that are not related to the field of public administration and organizational science, and then we have to tell you that it would be better to do another program. So we want to know if you understand what our program is about, and we want to know whether you have some skill in formulating questions and thinking about a research design. But as you proposed, starting with your own bachelor thesis is a very, very good basis for writing this proposal.
Yep. There was one other question about student life and a community feeling from Patricia. Well, we've talked about it a little bit already. I want to add that throughout the first year, but also the second year, there's a small activity committee that organizes activities for the group, so for both first years and second years. So in a couple of weeks, we'll be going to the National Ballet, for example, with all of us together. We've been celebrating Sinterklaas and Christmas. There's a pub quiz and all that kind of activities, so there's definitely a lot organized. So you don't have to be at home all the time, and there are a lot of social activities you can come to.
And on a practical note, all the courses are being taught in a very, very nice building that we have in the center of Utrecht, which is also closely related to cafes, to cinema, to all kinds of shops. So we're not sort of in an isolated area outside of the city. We're in the heart of the city, in a very nice area, which actually is a very, very nice place to do all these courses.
Totally. I think maybe we can round up the webinar for now.
Yeah. Okay, well, you want to round it up first and then I'll finalize it?
No, I just want to say thank you for watching, and hope to see you next year. And also don't hesitate if you have any other questions for students. We can also answer them after this webinar. So please contact us if there's any questions remaining. Yeah,
also on my behalf, many thanks for watching this webinar. you will be receiving an email with a recording of this webinar. So if there's some things that you want to listen back later on, or that you want to share with some of your friends, please do that. We'd also be really encourage you to share that link with other people that you think might be interested in this program. Please get in touch with us if you have any more questions. If you just look at my name, Albert Meyer at Utrecht University, or you will certainly find my email address, and I'm very happy to, and you will find my email address also in the information on the website. I'd be very happy to answer your questions, and I know the same applies for Eline and also for Mickey. So please send us your questions and relate to all kinds of issues. So I wish you a very good day or good evening wherever you are when you're watching this, and we really hope to see you back in Utrecht sometime. Thank you very much, and thanks for watching.